What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another predicted lineup video. Spurs travel to Turf Moor all the way up to Burnley tomorrow night, 7:30 kickoff for a big game, and we have to kick on now after that brilliant performance and brilliant result against Man City. It's imperative that Spurs do kick on now. We saw what happened last time after beating Leicester and beating Brighton. There was a good feeling around the place, and then we didn't back that up, and we lost 2 games at home in a row. It's so important to back this up now, back this win up now. Antonio Conte's press conference has been done, and what is the team news?
So the players who were out for Man City on the weekend remain out. Ollie Skip apparently has an infection after his injury, and they're taking precautions, so they're leaving him out for the time being. Reguilon didn't train yesterday, but Conte said he will see today if he does train and make a late call on whether Reguilon will be available to play, but it looks like unlikely at the moment. And Tanganga also remains out through an injury, so those 3 players definitely out.
All right, well, let's get into the predicted lineup. We're going through a 3-4-3 formation. In goal is obviously going to be Hugo Lloris.
Yeah, and hopefully stops this run of mistakes he's been making right now, because at the moment he's been kind of making a few awful errors, and it's been costing us a few goals. Although he did make a good recovery late in the game against City, he just needs to make sure that he's cutting out those mistakes.
I mean, that save he did make against City, that one-handed save, was so good, wasn't it?
Sensational.
Brilliant save. But let's move on to the defence. So Lloris in goal. On the right-hand side defence is going to be Cuti Romero, who's been in stunning form since he's come back into the side.
Yeah, although he did give away a penalty against City, I thought he was absolutely magnificent throughout the game, and he's going to be very important in this game, not just dealing with the likes of Weghorst, but also our ability to play out of tight situations and progress the ball quickly. So for sure he starts, yeah.
Alongside him, another player who's very, very important to the side, in Eric Dyer. Yeah,
and his long ball attempts are going to be very crucial in this game. If we're progressing the ball very quickly, he's going to have to see very quickly with quality runs in behind and the fullback situations, which are going to be very important in this game when he plays his long passes. Yeah.
And to make up the back 3 is going to be Ben Davies, the exact same back 3 as we played against Manchester City.
Yeah, I don't see it being any different. The only thing I might see is Davies coming out for Sanchez, just because we might need that added physicality in the penalty area.
And the aerial presence as well.
That's what I mean. But I think it's unlikely. I think Davies, with his ability on the ball, has to play.
All right, so that's a back 3 of Romero, Dyer, Davies. On the right-hand side, right wing-back is going to be Emerson Royale.
Yeah, I said in the preview that if there's going to be a game to play Doherty, I wouldn't mind it being this game, because I think he's actually quite suited to playing against Burnley. But I do think he's going to keep with Emerson to keep that good momentum going, because I think he had a good performance against City.
Yeah, so Emerson on the right. On the left, not a toss-up, because Reguilon is out. So we're going to obviously put Sessegnon back in there, and I think he deserves his spot. And I think even if Reguilon was fit, it would have been harsh to take Sessegnon out, seeing as he did get hauled off after 25 minutes in the Wolves game and had a good game against Man City.
Yeah, and he had a lot to talk about, Sessegnon, in his press conference. He says Sessegnon has the possibility to become an important player. He's strong, he's fast, he has a good engine, he has resilience, he has a good quality. Sometimes I think he feels a bit of pressure, but I play him in the big games against Liverpool and Chelsea and City, and that means that I trust him. If you remember, in the last game, I changed the system. That's the only reason I took him off after 30 minutes. But we are talking about another player that if he works, you have patience to work with him, and he's another player who can become an important player. And he says the only person that needs to be convinced of Sessegnon is himself.
That's interesting. And it's like when Conte first came here, and even when Nuno first came here, because we thought Nuno was going to play the wing-back system, we were talking about Sessegnon being, he's one that could really, come on leaps and bounds under these kind of managers. But obviously Conte is night and day between Nuno. But it excites me that he's talking like this about Sessegnon.
And I do think the left wing position can be very crucial for him, and it just needs more time in that role, needs more game time. And I think he is improving, and hopefully if he starts on Wednesday night, he can improve on that.
Yeah, and people forget about Sessegnon, how young he actually is, because we signed him 3 years ago now for big money. And obviously he hasn't featured much in those years. He's had a few loan spells here and there. But people forget how young he actually is and how much of a scope he has to improve. So I for one, are excited about Sessegnon, and I think this season's the first time that I've seen, light at the end of the tunnel for him, because before that, we hadn't really seen a good performance in the Spurs shirt.
No, but we've seen some big games now. So
yeah. So let's run through that back line with you one more time. So it's Hugo Lloris in goal, a back three of Romero, Dyer and Davis, Emerson on the right, Sessegnon on the left, exactly the same as the Man City game. Now let's talk about the double pivot, and the first player we're going to talk about is Pierre-Emile Højbjerg.
And he mentioned about the video clip that everyone's been circulating when it comes to Højbjerg, and he said it was nothing. It was just Højbjerg didn't see him at that time, and they hugged after, and then especially in the dressing room, so much made out of nothing. He said
it was a weird one though with that, because in the video clip it just shows how things can be misconstrued. Like, Conte comes up to him and it looks as though like he shrugs him off and like tells him to fuck off basically. But obviously that wasn't the case.
No, I just think it was unfortunate timing. That's all it was. He said now that he's got Winks and Skip and Bentancur and Højbjerg. He's got four midfielders that he trusts, and it means he can rotate. But we're thinking he's not going to rotate in this game, and hopefully they'll be available, because I think in this game against Burnley, them two are going to be massively needed.
Yeah, I agree. And when you're talking about the likes of Winks, I think he's definitely more suited to a game against Leeds than he is against the Burnley.
I agree.
So it definitely could be a game that he can come in there. But talking about Pierre's midfield partner, like you said, we're going to go for Bentancur.
And he was very impressive against Burnley, against Man City, despite the fact they lost the ball in some dangerous areas, which we'll have to prove upon. But his quality, his calmness, his composure is definitely, that's what stood out so far. And if you look at that one-touch move that everyone's talking about that we nearly scored from, he was the hub of that whole move. I think he was involved in about 3 or 4 of those passes. So he's one who I'm definitely getting more excited about more I see him. Yeah,
and he's just kind of come in and fitted in like a glove, hasn't he? I mean, no bedding in period. The first time he came on, he looked unbelievable, and he's been playing really well. I mean, the only reservations I have about him is him losing the ball in bad situations. That's the only kind of thing I'm seeing from him so far in terms of bad things.
Yeah, off the ball he looks great though, doesn't he, at the moment? Yeah. And even on the ball, when he is able to beat a player, like, he has quality, doesn't he?
Definitely. So that's a midfield two of Højbjerg and Bentancur. On the right-hand side, we're going to stick with Dejan Kulusevski.
Yeah, I'm just thinking with Burnley's tendency to sit back and be deep, I'm thinking I think Kulu has better skill set than Bergwijn or Lucas in this kind of game to be picking the lock and that kind of stuff. Not to say that I'm sure Bergwijn and Lucas will get more game time, and maybe we might even see that on the weekend against Leeds, where there's going to be plenty more space for them. But I think in this game we need Kulu.
Agreed. On the left-hand side is obviously going to be Heung-min Son, and I thought he was back at it big time against Man City after, I think this season, especially of late, he's been scoring goals but hasn't been really playing as the Sonny of last season. But I think the game against Man City, you really saw a return to that.
Yeah, 2 great assists for him as well. He's obviously not going to have the space that he had against Man City, especially for that first goal.
You can see what he can do against Burnley in no space.
Yeah, exactly. Look, he's a guy who that's absolutely right. He can dribble. He's got absolute dynamite shot if he's able to get it off. So and Son's that kind of player where if he's fit, you just have to play him.
Yeah, agreed. And another player who's fit, you have to, even if he's got one leg, you have to play him, and that is Harry Kane.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what Conte's saying. He said he had a problem with his back at the end of the City game. But he said for sure Harry Kane has to play, and for sure he's so important to the team. And he said even if he has one leg, he has to play. And that shows how reliant we are on him, which is absolutely right. But he was absolutely masterful against City, and hopefully he carries on that against Burnley.
Yeah, and you look at Antonio Conte's career, and everywhere he's been, he's made this striker, this monstrous striker, whether it be Diego Costa or Romelu Lukaku or whoever it may be. And, when Conte first came in, the goals were dried up for Harry Kane. And right now, you're seeing an unbelievable version of Harry Kane, aren't you?
Yeah, and he's all action. He's coming deep. He's getting in late into the penalty area. He's getting as many shots on goal as he ever has. And he's been brilliant. He was chasing people down, pressing. Like, people saying his power's starting to wane and he's getting on. And can he ever be as good as he was? He can be better. He can be better. I thought this guy, I'm telling you, I've said it consistently, he can play until his mid-30s at the very top level. I'm sure of it. He looks after himself. He's a brilliant striker. And as long as he has someone like Conte continuing to push him, that's what he needs. He needs someone who's always going to push him, always demanding more from him. Because if you just got managers who just, are happy with him and content, that's when he starts to be like, I need more from myself. He's always demanding more, and that's what Conte's going to do.
Agreed. Let's run through the lineup one more time. Hugo Lloris in goal, Romero, Dyer and Davis in the back three, Sessegnon on the left, Emerson on the right, Bentancur and Højbjerg in the double pivot with Son on the left, Kulusevski on the right and Kane up top. If this is the lineup, first of all, it's completely unchanged from Man City, what we've gone for. But if this is the lineup, what prediction are you going for?
I'm going to go with 2-1 to Tottenham.
2-1.
I think Kane will continue on the score sheet, and maybe one of the midfielders will get a goal, someone from outside the box, I'm feeling. But yeah, 2-1, and I think we should get a victory, although I fear that Burnley are going to be well up for this, and they're going to be fighting for everything. And I do think they might get a goal, but I think we're just going to nick it with our quality.
Bentancur outside the box for Grand Mbappe.
Exactly, Bentancur. Will that be inside his first 5 games? Would be, wouldn't it? Exactly, it has to be today then.
I'm going to go for 1-0 to Spurs. I think it's going to be a very, very tight and cagey affair, but I do think we're going to get over the line. I think it's going to be maybe even something scrappy from a set piece or something. I'm going 1-0, Cuti Romero to get it from a header from a corner. So that's what I'm going for. Sim's going for 2-1. Let me know in the comment section below what your predicted scoreline is and what your predicted lineup is as well. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.